Money FM 89.3. Best of breakfast. Morning Shot.
Good morning. Welcome to Morning Shot. I'm Audrey Seek. Now, with Father's Day just around the corner, we're turning the spotlight on dads today, not just at home, but at work. Because let's be honest, while much has changed when it comes to how we view parenting, many working fathers still face an uphill climb when it comes to real support in the workplace. Now, here in Singapore, we've seen some progress. From April 1st, new dads are entitled to 4 weeks of government-paid paternity leave, up from just 2 weeks. But is the culture keeping pace with the policy? Some companies, like Standard Chartered, are going even further, offering up to 20 weeks of paid leave for fathers starting later this year. But that raises the question, are most businesses ready to embrace more active, involved fatherhood? Joining us to unpack this is someone at the heart of this conversation. We're happy to welcome Dr. Xander Ong, CEO at the Center for Fathering. Xander, thanks so much for being here with us this morning.
Good morning, Audrey. Glad to be here with you and Singapore to really discuss this important topic of fathering in Singapore.
Very important indeed. So we'll have you start off with describing the current level of support for working fathers here in Singapore. Are we seeing real shifts in policy and culture, or is it still a bit of a mixed picture, you think?
I think it's definitely a mix of companies that's really for fathers or for families, and some that is facing a bit of resistance, whether based on culture or policies internally. But certainly society is looking forward to being more involved with their families, not just the children, but also the aged parents.
Yeah.
Because Singapore, we are truly an aging population. Families are shrinking. Older generations, they're also living longer. And some are still working well into their 70s, 80s even. And so for young parents like ourselves, we really face the issue of having a shrinking village to raise the next generation.
Yeah, so we have two aspects here, the aging population as well as parenthood. So let's focus on parenthood first for a second. We have a 4-week government-paid paternity leave in place now. That's pretty new. That just kickstarted a couple months ago. What's the sense you're getting on the ground so far with this change? Are people embracing this change, or are there still kind of like operational or cultural hurdles to overcome?
So the reality is, even when we were at 2 weeks of paternity leave, the take-up rate was about 53% in 2022. So even with the increase to 4 weeks, the assumption is some eligible fathers may not take even 2 weeks or 4 weeks, because the stats actually says adoption of at least 0.5 days. So even if you take half a day of paternity leave, that counts as the stats. So therefore, we actually do not know how well utilized this paternity leave is actually.
Why do you think this is? Is it more of a self-regulation? I shouldn't take it because somehow it's just ingrained that they need to go back to work? Or do you think that it's being pushed for by the company? Where do you think the responsibility lies here?
I think it's both the workers, the fathers that really feel responsible towards the work and don't want to let the team down, or it could be a small company, they don't have people to take over the roles and responsibilities. It can also be certainly workplaces that apply the pressure to say, hey, we need you there. Can you spread this utilization over some periods or so forth? I think it's a mixture of reasons why the uptake is not higher. At the same time, societal expectations also, I'll say it's progressing, in which many families may not fully expect the fathers to be at home during those crucial first 1 month to 6 months period. So a lot of it is also what we are doing at Center for Fathering through the Dads for Life movement. We're really trying to encourage and let fathers know that, hey, your presence really matters, not just as a person changing diapers, but your child, your wife really needs you to be there. Emotional support, just being present. And there's many tasks, certainly, as our families shrink, with less grandparents supporting, that it's really important for the husbands, the fathers to be there, to support the moms in their recoveries, to care for the child, and to start building the bonds from the early stage.
Yeah.
So some of that education or know-how or information, I think more people need to understand, not just current fathers, but also the employers, the bosses for companies. I think some of that mindset shift needs to happen.
If we were to paint a picture of a father-friendly workplace, what would it actually look like in practice? And what are some of the simple, actionable things that employers could start doing today to kind of shift the norm?
I would like to paint a picture. So I think in the past, before COVID, when employees come to work sick instead of taking a sick leave, sometimes we applaud them saying, hey, well done, as in you're really hardworking. Come COVID, we're a bit more aware of spreading viruses, so maybe that might be frowned upon. But how do we see employees taking parental leave, both maternity leave and paternity leave? Do we encourage it? What's the first reaction that we have when someone shares, hey, I'm going on parental leave? And we need to be able to shift that from one which we start worrying about, hey, who's going to cover your role, to one where we really celebrate, just as another family member would, really celebrate, and then work through to see, hey, how can we then plan to cover your work? So early on, you covered only on paternity leave, but the thing is this, right now, expectant fathers can plan up to 6 weeks of shared parental leave to utilize. From next April, it's 10 weeks of shared parental leave. So a father can be on paternity leave and shared parental leave for almost 10 weeks, then plus annual leave, easily 3 months. It's really important for companies to prepare for such possibilities and actually celebrate it.
Yeah.
So a father-friendly workplace will be one that not just react to a person coming forward to say, yes, I'm taking paternity leave on this date, but also proactively build the person's family. For example, if a person already have children or is at the childbearing age, then the question is, how can we be more involved in their marriages, to support their marriages, support their current child-raising activities? Next is then, how do we create the trust in the workplace, whereby fathers or mothers can come forward even 3-4 months before the due date and share about this good news and start planning processes or manpower to cover the tasks required. I think building that trust is really important. And then the next step is then, after the planning, is then how do you not just cover the job roles, but also then ensure that the father, for example, goes through prenatal training, go through some of our Center for Fathering workshops, so that he's equipped to understand that it's not just about task, it's also about the identity, about the change. Even, let's say, the first child, certainly there's a lot of transition and challenges. Even for the second child, there's new things that the father has to learn. So each child changes the dynamic in the family, and so each phase is really important for a person to go through. And the more support and encouragement the workplace can give, the more supported the father will feel and more engaged in the workplace, and also to give back once he returns to work fully.
Yeah, so it seems like there's still a bit of a gap though, right, Xander? Because to your point, we now have almost up to 10 weeks of paternity leave starting next year.
Plus shared parental
with
leave.
the shared parental leave. But like you said, a lot of people are not using this somehow, whether it's a personal self-regulation kind of thing or they don't feel supported. How do we fill this gap? Really? Is it education the key? Is more flexible arrangements the key? Where do you think we could work on?
I think it starts with actually parents first understanding that they need to be there for their children, right? It's their conviction, because the thing is this, the law protects eligible working parents from taking a leave. That means if the company, the employers do not grant that leave, that's illegal.
Yeah.
That's the truth. The law protects the parents. So in the end, it is the parents' choice as to whether to fully utilize the leave. Right? Parents need to understand that, and certainly the more parents do and the more confident they are regarding this, the more workplaces will shift.
Do you feel like we're seeing a lot of progress though? Because I think stats show that millennial parents and this generation of parents actually spend a lot more time with their families than previous generations. Do you think that this is a step in the right direction?
Definitely, because the first 1,000 days of a child's life from conception is extremely important for the child's development. The next thing is then, the number one predictor of a healthy child development is actually the happiness of the mother. So who else has a stronger responsibility towards that than the husband, the father of the child? So therefore, both fathers and mothers need to be there, really present during those crucial early stages. And we are really talking about 4 months of their early childhood, whereby parents being there for one another, for the children, older children also is extremely crucial. Because there's also a lot of talks about sustainability, right? We're on a business radio channel. And sustainability is for the next generation.
Yeah.
Right? And future generations. So we need to really make sure that we prioritize our next generation above everything else. So how do we also encourage not just the parents, but also workplaces to understand that? And as a society really grow to one that treasures each new life that is born, each new life that is conceived, and to really bring it up the best we can.
Yeah. All right, so Xander, let's talk about community now. How important are support networks or peer groups for fathers who want to step up but might not know where to start?
So it takes a village to raise a child, and because of our shrinking families and aging population, the village has shrunk. In the past, we might have uncles or aunties around to really support in raising a child, but nowadays, families are really small and separated from traditional large family structures. And thus, communities play an extremely important role because most fathers especially spend most of their time at work. So where do you then socialize and understand the role as a father? So beyond tasks, because nowadays online you can find all sort of how-tos, how to change diaper, the best way, burping, etc. But more importantly is the relationship between fathers, especially if you get to interact with one that has gone ahead of you. You get to learn from their mistakes too, and they share what they've done, what they've not done. And it's upon that father then to be able to grow into the identity as a father, to know then today in my family, with my wife, how am I supposed to then raise my children? Community allows fathers to relate, especially in our Dads for Life groups, in a safe way in which they're able to share things they might not share with their wives. Right? Because fathers, if you give them an opportunity to not talk about work or soccer or their interest, you focus on fathering. Right? You'll be surprised at vulnerable conversations that emerge from it that really then have them reflect upon their roles as fathers and the important responsibilities they have and how they can together really raise the next generation in a healthy manner.
All right. And looking ahead, Xander, what would you most like to see change in the next, let's say, 5 to 10 years when it comes to fatherhood in the workplace? It could be policy changes, it could be shifts in leadership or evolving social norms. It could be anything.
I think what I hope to see is for every co-worker to really put on a family lens. It means to see another co-worker as either a father, a mother, a son or daughter, and to really understand that we have these fundamental and irreplaceable roles that we play beyond being a great co-worker, and we need to be able to encourage each person in those family roles, sometimes really multi-roles. It can be both a son, a father, sometimes even a grandfather. And so how do we encourage each other in those roles? Only then can we really understand and fully excel in doing family, because we always say that family is the big rock of society. Family is the foundation of society. But how much of that priority and emphasis do we actually place on it? And thus, I think workplaces where most of us, nowadays we have a lot of working mothers, we spend most of our time in workplaces. Workplaces need to be part of the village to raise the next generation. So we really have to care for one another in our family roles.
Yeah, we're all part of the village, and it's clear that while policies are moving in the right direction, real change will come when workplace culture fully recognizes that fathers are caregivers too. Xander, thank you so much for such a thoughtful and timely conversation.
Thanks, Audrey. Glad to be here.
Thank you so much. That was Dr. Xander Ong, CEO at the Center for Fathering. Keep it here on Money FM 89.3.
To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.